Hey everyone, Donnie Grisano here to share another thought with you for the day. And the topic that I picked for today is what spirituality is and perhaps what spirituality is not. One of my favorite topics, spirituality. Obviously, I wrote a book that is spiritually based, at least I think so. So that's Paving the Road to Inspired Empowerment. And it took me a really long journey to define and come up with my own idea of what spirituality is because so many other people had ideas for me. I think it's kind of funny to even think about this idea that you can box in spirituality and have a face for it. I mean, by definition, to me, creating a box for anything is everything but spiritual. I'll share the gist of this idea of what I went through many years ago. So I had opened up this metaphysical store. I, wanted to create a place where people could go and get different things that, would be for their spiritual journey. So in walks this woman one day, and she seemed nice enough, and I walked over to her in kind of my energetic Aquarius self, and I said, "Hi, how are you? Can I help you find something?" The typical stuff. And the basic gist of the story was that she told me that one day I would become more spiritual, and I would start to speak slower, and I would start to see things differently, I guess, was the gist of it. Now, part of that's true. As my journey went along, I did see things differently, but I haven't slowed down. I don't speak slower. And just by the very nature of her telling me or thinking that because she had read so many books and she spoke slower made her more spiritual, kind of was an indication to me that maybe she wasn't as far along on the path as perhaps she thought she was. But it obviously stuck with me because I'm still telling that story today. It made me feel very much like I had to fit into this box. Sometimes people get this idea that a spiritual person burns lots of Nag Champa, does lots of yoga, has dream catchers all over their house, meditates nonstop, speaks slowly, and is without emotion. And while those things could fit into somebody's idea for themselves as a spiritual person, that doesn't define spirituality. Sometimes spirituality doesn't look pretty, based on other people's opinions, of course. For me, spirituality is being true to myself, it's being true to others, it's living in my greatest truth. And sometimes that's defining boundaries. Sometimes spirituality for me is saying no. Sometimes spirituality for me is expressing my emotions. I had somebody once, not once, probably many times, but once in particular at this very moment that I'm thinking of, that I was upset about something had emotionally bothered me. It could have been even actually a loss. And they said, "I thought you were so spiritual. Why are you going through that?" And I was like, emotion is part of spirituality, and it's not all going to be rainbows and unicorns. Sometimes you're going to get pissed, and sometimes you're going to be sad, and sometimes there's going to be grief, and there's all these other emotions that serve a purpose. And so for me, I don't think stuffing down emotions and pretending on the outside like I have it all put together perfectly is spiritual. You have to find your own idea of spirituality. Even meditation isn't always going to look the same for everybody. I've shared in the past and in my book that my meditation was walking. It's the place where I quieted my mind and I was able to connect with, my higher self. If you have ever felt like you've been put in a box and you have had somebody create an idea of what spirituality is for you, I challenge you to take the time to really ask what feels most authentic to you. I don't think that if there is a universal energy out there that created us, it expects us to become something we are not. When we are in conflict with ourselves because we're not being true to ourselves, because we're not being authentic, because we're not being, living in self-love, for me, that is not the ultimate idea of spirituality. For me, spirituality is everything that we can't touch. It's all the matters of the heart. And that really brings us back to the most spiritual way of living, from my perspective, of course, is love. Love is everything that is absent of fear. Love is an ultimate truth. It's a feeling, it's an experience, it's something that elevates us up. And yes, we do have pain, and fear, which is an opposition of love, but that opposition allows us to feel it in a completely different way, to understand it and fully experience it. So everything serves a purpose. I don't think you have to have a flatliner of a personality in order to be spiritual. And for those of you who do have a flatliner personality, I'm not saying you're less spiritual or that it's wrong or right. I just think that we have to be more inclusive to all types of people and their idea of what feels right. So live your day as true, authentic, and as spiritual as possible. Take time to pause, see where you are in the day, see where your feet are planted. Being present is super empowering, and I think that a lot of us fall asleep throughout the day. We just get caught up in our heads and we're just in reaction mode. Sometimes the best thing we can do to get in touch with spirit is to pause, take a moment, see where we are, and reground ourselves. So that's my thoughts on what is and what is not necessarily spirituality. Of course, defined as I see it. If it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, take what you need, take what works for you. So if you guys like my videos, I do have a YouTube channel right now. Just look up Donnie Grisano, that's D-O-N-N-Y, not I-E. And if you're not on my Facebook page, you can like and follow my Facebook page, Donnie Grisano. All right, till next time, have a great day and enjoy your spiritual selves.